So you might have already watched some of the short videos, and now I'm going to expand and give you a bigger picture on exactly why we do the RuX and how it works. So let's say we have two communities of people. One is a community of people with money to give, the givers. Another is a community of poor people. The givers want to do good and they decide to help the poor people not be poor. And so they build a conduit or pipe that allows transfer of money into the poor community. Some people call the conduit the government. Other people call the conduit a non-profit organization. But basically, the conduit is all the ways that facilitate one-way flow of money from the givers community into the poor community. But there's a problem with this conduit. It seems to the givers like some of their money doesn't quite get to the poor people. Sometimes some of the money even got mysteriously lost along the way in the conduit. Because the given community is some distance away from the poor community, nobody actually knows if this is in fact true. And so the giving slows down to a minimum and the poor people remain poor. The real problem is that everyone forgot to ask the question why the poor people are poor. So they assumed they could make the poor community richer by giving them money. In reality, we now know that the core of the problem in the poor community is that people are poor because they're unemployed. They don't have any way to sustain themselves. They are dependent on others. If you ask them, you will find that what most of the people want and need is a job. So why don't the poor people just create jobs for themselves, you might ask? Well, that's a really good question. So let's consider the situation we have today. The modern world today is like a global village, and big companies already produce products faster, cheaper, better quality than any poor person can. And in this global community, the big companies produce products that are available almost everywhere. So if you're poor or less privileged, it's ever more difficult for you to create something that you can actually sell, because in the modern world, the poor are completely outplayed. They are so outplayed that they can't even sell enough products to survive, let alone make a good living. In other words, they're simply not capable of bridging that gap. They can't create something that will compete with products offered by the big companies. Ultimately, most people in the poor community have given up hope. They're hopelessly unemployed. So remember that givers community. Fortunately, some of the people in the givers community go to the poor community and visit them and listen and try to understand. And after understanding the situation, wisdom calls them to build a bridge that makes for easy connection between the giving community and the poor community. Now, these two groups of people can actually meet each other and interact, and they can do it easily. It allows the givers to put money directly into the hands of the poor community's members, and it allows the poor community members to show that they're using the money to create jobs. They're fixing the core of the problem. In this way, the poor community receives real wealth, jobs that will help them grow financially and grow as people. So if we want to create employment, then which of these poor communities members should we meet and invest in? Well, the givers will obviously not hand out money to random poor people and ask them to start new businesses. As we all know, the chances of a new business succeeding are very low. It's 10% in rich communities and much, much lower in poor communities. So the stats are really on successful business startups in poor communities are not worth investing our money in. So the givers rather decide to invest in existing proven businesses inside that poor community. They give small amounts of money to business owners inside the community. What must the business owners give back? Employment. They must employ extra people and pay them a full salary. That's what the givers get back from their investment. Real, tangible evidence of sustainable jobs that make a real difference. So the bridge helps the givers to meet with business owners, and the bridge gives poor community business owners the opportunity to show the givers what they're doing with the money. Then only those that use the money to create more employment will get any more money. If they don't create more employment, they will not get any more money. So because the bridge allows the giver and the business community and the poor community to meet, a trust relationship is possible. So what is this bridge? The bridge is a website. It is called the Real Wealth Exchange, or RuX for short. On this website, you, a giver, can choose to invest some of your money directly into business owners that are creating employment in poor communities. Somebody has already visited that poor community and identified existing business owners to work with. Here is the RuX bridge in pictures. You will go on the RuX website and be given an informed choice of business owners to invest in. Once you've made your choice, you will directly deposit money into the business owner's bank account. They will then employ extra staff and use the extra labor to grow their business. Then, at the end of the month, the employee receives a full salary so that we know that a job has been created. What makes the RuX unique is that all bank accounts are publicly visible, so you'll be able to see and track where the money goes. Additionally, the RuX team will visit businesses in that little community at random times to see that those employees are present at work and that the products are being produced. I'm sure you'll agree that it will be difficult to find any other investment in employment that is more certain than this one. And now that we have invested money in employing people, we'll start to see the power of the community take over. Business owners can now produce products cheap enough for others to buy, and more people buy their products and businesses grow inside that community. As employees have money now to spend, they're able to contribute to the cash flow in the small community. This is the miracle of teamwork, which multiplies our efforts and starts to take like a life of its own. It's like an ecosystem of growth inside that poor community. Once again, let's visualize the ecosystem of growth. And then comes the magic. As more investors invest, a virtuous cycle starts inside that poor community. More employed people in the community have cash to spend on other businesses in that community. Then more employment is generated, more cash flows, and new business growth becomes self-sustainable and unlimited. In this case, you can see this happening in the RuX bank accounts in that community. The money that you invested has multiplied. Let's summarize. You can use the Real Wealth Exchange website to invest in business owners in poor communities. They will pay employees through publicly visible bank accounts. This employment gets multiplied, creating more employment, and you, the giver, will then receive the kind of real wealth that we're looking for, which is a certainty about how much employment you help create by partnering with people in that community.